Hi gardeners, I'm Lourdes for Native Plant Channel, and it's November and we're getting the garden ready for winter. One thing that's great about native plant gardening, and that's great at this time of the year, is that native plant gardeners do not clean up their gardens. Forget that thing about everything has to be perfectly neat, because when we do that, we are endangering the very insects that we're trying to increase in our habitats. And really, let's just change the way that we view things. Does a garden of bare earth and mulch really look any better than one of plants or some interesting architectural structures that are still standing? I'm going to take you around my garden. We'll take a look at how things look, and then we're also going to be looking at weeds that can be removed at this time of the year. But we are not cutting anything back. The grass that you are seeing here is little bluestem. It is just a wonderful native grass, easy to grow, and will grow in average to dry soils. Now, little bluestem is so important because it feeds the caterpillars of at least 9 different skippers, which are relatives of the butterflies. I leave this standing all winter. And in fact, even in the spring when I cut it down, what I do is just use it on the surface of the soil as mulch to control the weeds. This way, if butterflies or skippers have laid their eggs anywhere on this grass, they will be, I have not removed them, and they can still emerge in the spring and complete their life cycle. Next to it, you are seeing the yellow leaves of Eastern Blue Star that are still persisting well into the fall, a lovely plant that blooms in the spring with blue flowers. The tall plant that you are seeing here is ironweed. It can grow from 4 to 8 feet tall and has beautiful purple blooms in the summer that attract many pollinators. Now in the fall, you can see all these seed heads that will be feeding birds and provide nutritious meals to birds throughout the fall and into the winter. You can keep this plant lower growing if you'd like by cutting it back sometime in June in order to reduce its height. However, it is very strong and does not need staking. The plant in the container here is columbine, which blooms in the spring with red flowers that are attractive to hummingbirds. It easily grows from seed in very dry, sunny conditions. Next to it, you have goldenrod, one of the stars of the fall garden with yellow flowers that are excellent nectar producers. Next to it is Hubrick's Blue Star, which has these very fine leaves that look like needles and are green throughout the summer, and then in the fall turn beautiful yellow colors. The dark leaves that you're looking at are that of blue false indigo or baptisia, another spring blooming plant. And here you can see that even into November, we are seeing the white blooms of pearly everlasting, an extremely long blooming plant that begins blooming in July. There is a video on Native Plant Channel devoted exclusively to pearly everlasting. Just look at the fantastic fall color here of this oak leaf hydrangea, which is a large shrub that is also excellent for pollinators when it is in bloom. This is our native hydrangea, not to be confused with the French and Asian varieties, and it has these long panicled white flowers that, as you can see, can be used in dried arrangements, but the leaves maintain their color for a very long time in the fall. This lovely shrub is one that few gardeners are familiar with. It is bush honeysuckle, still green but changing colors to lovely fall colors, and it has attractive red stems. It blooms over a long period of time with small yellow flowers that are attractive to pollinators. But this is a great shrub that grows about 4 foot tall. It does sucker, so it's useful to you if you have a large area that you would like to eventually cover. Look how beautiful the colors are. Goldenrod is such an important plant in the fall when it provides nectar for bees and butterflies, and especially for monarch butterflies on their migration southward. But now this plant has finished blooming. Its value now is in the many seeds that are eaten by birds. So leave it here and you're going to feed birds for a long time. Growing behind this bench, you see summer sweet or sweet pepper bush. This is a tall growing shrub growing to about 8 feet high, and you can see how much this beautiful yellow color brightens your garden. This plant is also fantastic during the summer months when it is in bloom with very fragrant blooms that attract bees and butterflies, and is just covered with them in the summer.
Winter's arrival doesn't mean that one has to remain indoors and isolated. Take a walk out in your garden. See what's there, see what's happening, see what birds might be using your gardens for food.
One of the best native vines that you can use in your garden is the beautiful coral honeysuckle. It has a very long bloom season, which begins in May when it is completely covered in these orangey red blooms, but it continues on until frost. It also provides nectar for bees and butterflies and is a larval host plant for Lepidoptera as well. Although this is not a fragrant honeysuckle like the invasive Japanese honeysuckle, it just has so many attributes that are welcome all season long. And it is also not as aggressive as some of even our own native vines, so it's easy to grow. One thing, as you can tell from, if you noticed earlier, it is not deer resistant. This vine also provides these attractive fleshy berries that the birds just love.
Volunteer at a public garden near you. Most of them need volunteers all the time, and that's a great way for you to meet other people and help society. Consider taking one of the many virtual courses offered today online. They are a great source of information. Another thing you might want to consider is becoming a master gardener. Almost every state has a master gardener program where you can learn so much and you can meet other gardeners and you can help them learn about native plants and how to improve our gardens by using native plants. If you go to Native Plant Channel's Facebook page, I will have links there for you for anywhere in the Northeast so that you can find your state's Master Gardener program. I myself became a Master Gardener over 20 years ago. I live in New Jersey, so I was certified through Rutgers University.
You are looking at Anise Hyssop, and you can only imagine the number of seeds that these stalks might contain. What an excellent example of why we should not clean up our gardens. These are attractive architectural accents to your garden that will feed goldfinches with their seeds as well as other birds.
Gardens remind us that there are seasons to life. It could be summer where everything is at its most vibrant, or it could be winter when everything is taking a pause. When our gardens return in the spring, they will be more vibrant, they will have grown, and our plants will be more abundant. Just as that happens in our gardens, we too can have grown over the winter personally. Our lives can be better. We will return more vibrant, renewed, and ready for new exciting challenges in our lives. After all, guys, all challenges are temporary. Everything passes. All bad times come to an end.
Many gardeners look for tall grasses that have a fountain shape and end up buying those available at garden centers, which are the Asian varieties. But look at our own native beautiful switchgrass and its color in the fall, not to mention how beautiful it looks when backlit by the sun. This is an important grass that feeds a number of Lepidoptera and is also good for small ground nesting birds. Birds also use it to eat the seeds, and this grass is strong and sturdy. It will stay erect during the winter for a very long period of time, really until the snow really flattens it.
Gardeners by nature are caring, sharing people. Help others by sharing your garden with them and inspiring them. And share this video with them in order to make our world a better place and to create more eco-friendly gardens. In doing so, you will see that you improve not only the world, but you improve life for yourself as well.
And gardeners, here is another of our native grasses that is really adaptable to many conditions. This is wood oats, also called river oats because they will grow in wet soils. It grows in sun, it grows in shade. So if you're looking for something for a shady area, give this one a try. Its seed heads last from summer well into the early part of the winter. The birds love it. It's such a treat to be able to watch birds eating these seed heads. And to me, they just look like almost little fish hanging off a fishing rod, right? Aren't they cute? So try river oats. These are low growing, so it's a low growing ground cover for you.
Just because it's winter doesn't mean we have to spend all our time indoors. In this very challenging year, please continue to go outside in your garden. Notice what is happening. There are still weeds that can be removed. Although we're not cleaning up the garden, there are still weeds, invasives, that need to be managed. We're going to take a look at a few of these that are growing in my garden today.
It's a great time to be pulling this nasty weed. This is bittercress. And one of the things that makes it so awful is that it sends up a stem with small white flowers that later produce seeds in the late spring or so. And these seeds can shoot as far away as 9 or 10 feet. So you end up with them everywhere. Take a look at the scalloped leaves here. It grows from a base, so it grows from the center and then grows out, and it has these scalloped leaves. Now in the fall, or now in November, with the moist soil, they're very easy to pull up. So it's a great time to be getting out there and averting a big problem for later. The plant on the left here is bittercress again, and this one I'm going to be pulling out. I want to get rid of these. However, take a look at the plant next to it. Something that many people pull as weeds but should probably leave. These are violets. Violets are wonderful plants that are good for a number of butterflies, especially the fritillaries, which use only violets to lay their eggs on. And they are just gorgeous butterflies, so please don't pull your violets. They make excellent food for beautiful butterflies. This nasty invader is ground ivy, also called creeping Charlie. It has these somewhat heart-shaped leaves with the scalloped edges, but it is a perennial trailing vine. It is difficult to control. So now that the soil is moist, it makes it a little bit easier to pull up. It roots at all the different nodes as it goes along the way. So you do have to be careful about pulling up the whole thing, or else it will just reroot itself and establish itself. You want to make sure you get as much of it as you can. This will take repeated effort, and you want to avoid it going into your garden beds. It's going to be difficult to get rid of it in the lawn, but you can certainly get it out of your garden beds. Now that the ground ivy has been removed, you might notice that it was covering mock strawberry, another invasive. This is not the strawberries that you grow to eat. This is just an invasive vine that gets into the lawn as well. Again, just gently pull it out, yank out all pieces, and you'll have to do it repeatedly. Look for the green, rounded, or heart-shaped leaves of garlic mustard now. It is a biennial, so it will stay green throughout the winter, and then in the springtime will grow about 2 feet tall, maybe taller, with white flowers. It will reseed prolifically, and then you'll get patches, full of garlic mustard like this, that will outcompete native plants. It is pretty easy to pull out now, and just grab it from its base, pull it up, have the root come out. If you are at all unsure whether or not this is garlic mustard in your yard, just crush the leaves and smell it and look for the garlicky onion smell. Thistles are another invasive plant that can quickly overtake your garden. You do want to be familiar with native thistles though, so please be on the lookout for native thistles, but most of the ones you're going to find in your garden will not be native. They are difficult to work with also because they're kind of thorny and prickly and can hurt you. And they're actually rather difficult to remove because of very, very deep roots. For these, you're going to need a weed digger that you're going to have to insert deep and into the soil around it, kind of jiggle it around and get to the root and try and pull up as much of the root as possible, as they will come back. But after, if it continues to, just continue this process until you're able to rid yourself of them. But whatever you do, do not let them go to seed because you'll only end up with many more. Another weed that stays green and you can pull out now is chickweed. This is this low-growing mat. In my garden, it's growing under a tree with very thick roots, so it's actually hard to pull out because it's entangled with the roots. And these have very fragile stems that break off easily. But chickweed, you'll notice it because it blooms with white flowers in the spring. So you can hand pull it. Take a look at the pointy leaves that it has. They're pointy at the end. When you hand pull, you'll see that it breaks off easily, so you're not really getting the root out. Because I have this mat here, I'm going to use my little garden fork or my little hand cultivator to pull out as much of it as I can, since I have a patch to pull out. So that's a possibility for you. Now, chickweed is edible, but it looks a lot like scarlet pimpernel, which is poisonous. So make sure you are identifying it correctly before you put it in your salad. Another invasive that you don't want to let go to seed is this one, woolly mullen. It does have these attractive gray leaves and which form attractive rosettes. In fact, the plant grows very tall. It probably gets about 5-6 feet tall and blooms with yellow flowers over the summer. However, it does produce a lot of seed, and then those seeds will end up everywhere. You want to pull it out. It does have somewhat long roots, but if you gently tug when the soil is moist, it does come up fairly easily. Now, some people like it and find it attractive, but please consider that it is invasive.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have been inspired to use more native plants, to volunteer, to spend more time outdoors and in your garden, even over the winter months. Please subscribe to Native Plant Channel so that you can be notified when our next video is ready. And please go to Facebook. There's more there for you to learn and an entire native plant community to share with. So go to Native Plant Channel's Facebook page. I wish you a great day and see you soon on Native Plant Channel.